Me and my twin brother went trick-or-treating with two of our closest friends, Sam and Brenda. We went over to Sam's house. He lived the nicest neighborhood, but had a really creepy set of woods a mile away. Missing bodies have been found there, and there's always strange grunting noises loud enough to hear from his house. We set off to go trick-or-treating around 10 p.m. The night started off as normal. Kids in costumes were everywhere. Bowls of candy were set out on pouches. We got through all of the houses and we were on our way back to Sam's around midnight. For some ungodly reason, we decided to go to the woods to try and see where the noises were coming from. The further we got, the darker the night seemed. As the streetlights faded and the silence set in, you couldn't even see your own feet as you were walking. We seen the edge of the woods, and since we had all been drinking a bit, we went for it. I'm not sure what time it was, but we got to a thick point in the woods, branches escaping your limbs from all sides. It was quiet besides our rustling through the brush. A grunt stopped all of us dead in our tracks. It's like you could feel the steamy breath from a giant on you. We didn't move. Whatever grunted at us was circling us, and there was more than one. I thought for sure we were all going to die that night. Unfortunately, that's not entirely wrong. I was holding Brenda's arm. We didn't get separated. All of a sudden she let go and heard a scream like I never want to hear again. Whatever got Brenda was tearing her apart. The screaming stopped and the sound of her blood sloshing and flesh being torn was enough for all of us to dead sprint to what we thought was the way out. Sam, my twin, and I were able to get away from whatever took Brenda. We lost track of time and had no idea where the hell we were. Sam suggested that we climb a tree and just wait until sunrise to find our way out. At this point, what else could we do? We found a somewhat bigger tree and started to climb one by one. Sam went first, then myself. My twin was about to start climbing when we heard the grunt again. We heard him scream and get dragged away by what I assume was the same thing that got Brenda. Sam was covering my mouth, hugging me tight to the tree, so I didn't scream and draw attention to us. Some time passed and we started to see the sun come up over the tree line. We waited until we could somewhat see what was around us. We climbed down from the tree, stepping in my twin's blood as we walked the opposite direction. The thought of leaving him was gut-wrenching, but we knew there was no way we could find him without finding whatever took him. We walked for what seemed like hours until we heard another grunt. I felt its hot, sticky breath on my back. I froze, Sam squeezing my hand so tight I thought my fingers were going to fall off. We couldn't see what it was as the brush was too thick. Once again, I heard an awful scream and Sam was gone. I took my chance and bolted, praying I'd find my way out. I felt like I was running in circles, not knowing where I was going. It started to get dark again. I didn't want to take my chances with whatever took my best friends. I climbed another tree just as the sun went down. I started to doze off when I heard it again. The grunting, I was so high I couldn't feel it, but whatever it was right underneath me. What sounded like two more joined it, circling the tree. At this point, I'm not going to make it out of here alive. The grunting stopped a little bit ago. I'm taking the time to write this while I'm still here. If you're seeing this, send help. Um, this happened just over a year ago, but I still think about this encounter almost daily. My boyfriend and I had the bright idea of grabbing some cheap flashlights from Walmart and going on a late night walk in the woods. Seemed harmless enough. It was warm out, and the sky was clear. It was a breezy night in June, and then also the night of a supermoon. We went to this pretty well-known trail in my town that runs along a massive river and has lots of open trees and foliage. Started our trek, and for the first little while it was pretty chill. We weaved in and out of trees and roughly followed a path down to the water. It was pretty nice, and once we reached the end of that path, we walked back and followed another one in the opposite direction. Now this is what happened. We were walking along this path for about 15 minutes before randomly, out of seemingly nowhere, a dog approaches us. It had a pink collar and some tags and looked harmless enough. So we just assumed it was someone's pet that had just run off from their family. We didn't get much time to really think about it though, before it ran off in the direction we came from, back towards the parking lot. Thinking nothing of it, we continue on our walk. We veered off down a beaten path to see where it led, but the path had been overgrown and wasn't accessible. Disappointed, we headed back to the main path when we started to hear rustling next to us. My boyfriend is in front of me and he says, "What the heck is that?" So I shine my light and see these eyes looking back at me. We slowly got closer and realized it was the dog from before. We're thinking, okay. And this dog had its tail wagging, tongue hanging out, and ears perked. It genuinely looked friendly. So me being me, I go up to the dog, and as I am approaching, it's like a flip switched, and this MF starts growling and whining at me. So I'm like, no, and back off. I love animals, but there was just something not right about this dog. I couldn't get a read on it whatsoever. I couldn't tell if it needed help, or if it was lost, or even if it was truly friendly. So me and my boyfriend are in a standoff with this dog before it barks and runs off. Now keep this in mind. It ran off down the left side of the path towards the forest. The right side of the path had a fence and little to no bushes or growth. We thought that was weird and decided to head back towards the car. As we're walking maybe 2 minutes away from getting to the car, I see a black mass cross the path in front of us from the right side to the left. I said to my boyfriend, "Hey, did you see that?" And start shining my light in the direction of where it went. As we get closer, I see my car, and I shine my light towards the trunk. And there I was met with a pair of eyes staring back at me. I'm thinking, there's a raccoon or something on my car, and start getting annoyed. We're getting closer to the parking lot, and that's when we got into better lighting. I'm still locking eyes with this thing, wondering what it is. We get closer, and it comes into full view. It was the dog. Now, no domestic household dog is going to do this shit. Okay? It not only followed us in the woods, but it somehow followed my scent back to my car. There were several cars in the lot, and it was sitting at mine. So we get closer, and this thing starts growling at us and stalking, creeping towards us. I'm not even kidding, this was the wildest shit I've ever experienced. It was mirroring our movements. We would take a step back, and it would take a step forward. My boyfriend had the bright idea to set off the car alarm, thinking that it would scare it away. This dog didn't even blink when the alarm was going off, right next to it. So we're edging closer to the car, and this dog is looking ready to attack us. My boyfriend stomped, shuffled on the ground a bit to imitate someone running. And hearing this, the dog yelped and turned and ran back into the forest. We jumped into my car, locked the doors, and took a breath. We were both very shaken and in disbelief. I 1000% believe that was not a dog. It felt so wrong. I don't know what was in the woods that night, but I'm not going back to find out.